What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NFL Turf Talk. We are streaming to you guys live, as always, on the DSM Media Twitter page. But tonight, we're also live on the DSM Media Turf Talk YouTube channel. If you guys haven't already, do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Make sure to subscribe to not one, not two, but all three YouTube channels we have here at DSM. We have the Philadelphia YouTube channel that you can find every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning for the Fifth Fanatic Show, as well as all of our DSM pregame lives for Philly sports games. You can check out the Scotty Talks NBA YouTube channel as we get ready for the NBA season coming up in just about a month. And obviously subscribe to this one, the Turf Talk channel. If you want all your NFL content in one spot, it is the best and only spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. I'm one half of them tonight, to Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. We're going to be recapping week one in the NFL. Updating our top 10 power rankings heading into week two and getting into this AFC East divisional matchup down in Miami tonight for Thursday Night Football. Best bets, predictions, and much more. But guys, don't forget, tap in, subscribe, like this video. My man, what's going on? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Happy pre-Friday, my week two's here already. It comes fast, right? But we do have a lot to break down from week one. I'm excited to get into it, man. NFL is officially back. This is our first recap show, so I'm excited to dig into some actual football play, some stuff that actually took place, and no more predictions and rankings.
No more hypotheticals, man. It feels good.
Yeah, no more hypotheticals. We're here, so I'm excited for it, man. We got a good matchup tonight to preview. Great betting game, in my opinion. You got a lot of props that you could look at. A lot of things look juicy in this game, but yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. Hopefully everybody's tapped in. Be sure to comment and share your thoughts. Makes it more fun when we get you guys' thoughts involved in the show.
Yep.
And we can kind of bounce off you guys and take the show where you guys want to go. So be sure to get involved in the comments there and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Happy pre-Friday.
Pre-Friday. I like it, man. Scotty obviously loves his Victory Mondays. He's got his hump day shows that we do on Wednesdays, and now we have pre-Fridays here as well. And then tomorrow morning, guess what we have? The Friday show, and then it's the pre-weekend show. And that's how you just make the days feel a little bit more joyous, man. But obviously on Sunday's show, we touched on the fact about the games last Thursday and Friday, the Eagles and the Chiefs coming away with wins. And we'll get into them a little bit later, I'm sure, when we get to our power rankings and stock up and stock down segment of the week as well. But let's get into this Sunday slate from week one, man, because it was a lot of fun. You and I had a pretty, very successful day on the gambling board as well together. So, guys, if you're not tapped in for that, make sure to check out the show. Make sure to check out the Twitter page for all of our plays. But let's start in Atlanta. I believe I got this game wrong. It's not a game that we touch for betting purposes, but I did roll with the newly led Kirk Cousins Atlanta Falcons at home. And really, man, this wasn't a home game. TJ Watt was pumping up and energizing the crowd down in Georgia. And it was all those yellow, terrible towels that Steelers fans, I guess, greatly travel with and never leave at home. But the Steelers come away with an 18-10 win and not an offensive game at all. And I feel we have interesting storylines to get into on both sides. Obviously, you have the Falcons who come into this year with pretty high expectations set by the fact that they went out and addressed the quarterback position and gave Kirk Cousins, what was it, $180 million deal. They go out and they draft Michael Penix inside the top 15 of the first round this past year, and there's already some conversation stirring within the national media. And then on the other side, you have two quarterbacks in Pittsburgh as well. We didn't know which one was going to start all offseason. Russell Wilson gets traded. They trade for Justin Fields as well. Russ gets the job throughout training camp. Comes away with a leg injury, a lower body injury, kind of midway through last week. Justin Fields gets to start. Something you and I talked about on the Sunday morning show was, look, man, if you're Mike Tomlin and the Steelers and you go out on the road and you get a win this Sunday, there's no looking back. You can't just give the job to Russell Wilson. You got the win, but you kicked 6 field goals. You didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So you still have to roll with Justin Fields for this week, Scotty, especially because it doesn't seem like Russell Wilson is 100% healthy either.
Right.
But Justin Fields, let's just say, did not run away and take this job from Russell Wilson in a game that he had an opportunity to. Now, this Falcons, you're on the road. You were planning to be the backup probably the last 2 weeks of training camp, regardless. Nonetheless, you have to come prepared, and he was, I guess. But you are playing a tough Atlanta Falcons defense that did add to it over the offseason, but not a showing that impressed, man. I don't know how Pittsburgh fans are feeling. Like, you got the win, but you still have so many questions at the most important position in all of sports.
Yeah, man, it's a tough game to gauge, and I think Justin Fields specifically is a tough player to gauge in this game. It is a Falcons defense that was supposed to be revamped. It is a Steelers team that did kick 6 field goals, but they did win the game, right? They did enough to win the game. The defense is obviously astounding, right? TJ Watt is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You mentioned the home crowd feel. I do know the Steelers fans, they do travel well. They have a large fan base. They have like these like bars everywhere. Every little city you go to, right, on the road, there's a Steelers fan bar or whatever you want to call it. So they do got a big fan base. They do travel well, but that was very surprising on Atlanta's home opener. In a year where they should have pretty, high expectations for their ball club. So to see that, it was pretty mind blowing. I will say that. But I will say this about Justin Fields. I don't disagree with you. I don't think that he ran away with the job. I do think that he presents like an interesting facet of the offense with his running ability. It's something that they just haven't had, and it's better than what they've had, in my opinion. And I think the dynamic ability mixed with a defense like that, it makes them just a really weird and awkward team to play. Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing just yet. I think we'll see over time with Justin Fields and if he's able to hold on to the starting job. But I do think when you look at it compared to Russ and even compared to like Kenny Pickett last year, Justin Fields, and I'm not a huge Justin Fields fan, but he does just present a different facet, like the ability to just break down, scramble, and make a play out of nothing. Average 4.1 yards per carry, had 14 carries in this one, 57 yards. Opens up the field a little bit more for the running backs as well to do their thing, guys like Najee Harris. But I think time will tell with this Steelers team. I think we knew their defense was going to be great. They showed up even better than I expected, quite honestly. I didn't expect them to hold Atlanta to 10 points in Atlanta. Now that takes you to the other side, though, right? How great is the Steelers defense versus how much of a train wreck was Kirk Cousins in this game? And maybe not even Kirk Cousins. Maybe it's not even fair to him because the offensive line was hellacious. It was horrible. So they got a lot going on there. I don't think Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback to have behind a shaky at best offensive line. And it's going to be interesting seeing how they move forward, because obviously you got the Eagles in Philly. The Eagles are coming home to take on the Falcons next week on Monday Night Football. The Eagles struggle to get a pass rush. So you're going to see a team that struggled against a great pass rush in the Steelers versus an Eagles team that struggled to get QB pressure in that Green Bay game. But we'll kind of see how each of these teams match up in that sense. But Atlanta, man, I don't know. If you're going to have Kirk Cousins turning the ball over, 2-3 times, I think they had a fumble. It might not have been Cousins.
They did. Well, he threw 2 picks, and they also had a fumble lost, I believe. Let me just – they did. So they turned the ball over 3 times. Kirk threw 2 picks, and they were pretty ugly as he was trying to push the ball down the field and
Drake London invisible
a little bit. Yeah,
Kyle Pitts
found the end zone.
He did get a touchdown, to be fair, but still, is that really all you want from your top 10
Bijan touched the ball 23 times. Tyler Algier only gets 3 carries. That's obviously in favor of the Falcons fans when it comes to balance at the running back position, where they want the ball and who they want on the field this year. Obviously, just to wrap up the Steelers point and Justin Fields point, like he didn't play bad. Like you said, he fumbled. They got it back so that he didn't turn the ball over.
Play good.
I think he was 17 of 23. Like you mentioned, he averaged like 4.5 yards per carry on the ground, and he does.
But only 6 yards per throw.
Right. He does bring something different to the table, and those quarterbacks, especially the ones as mobile as him, like it's to me, it's almost like Lamar Jackson, and then him when it comes
Yeah,
to speed and athleticism and trying to bring down in the
yeah.
open field. Like we know what Josh Allen can do, and Kyler's a little fast fuck, and
It's
Jalen can
different
run,
though.
but
Yeah,
it's
they're
Lamar and
different
him in
though.
terms of agility, athleticism, speed, quick, all of it put together. And when you have
Yeah,
basically what I'm trying to get at is on third downs, those guys can be nightmares to play against because that's
yeah,
how you
yeah,
extend drives with the legs, and you're keeping the opponent's defense on the field and tiring them out and controlling time of possession
yeah,
and everything. So he does bring something different to the table. It's just, if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm happy that I won the game. I'm
yeah,
ecstatic about how our defense looked and about how TJ Watt looked because he is a fucking animal every single game.
yeah.
It's just, you couldn't have given me just one successful drive. Like, you
Yeah.
couldn't give me something to go, okay, we can work with that. It's like you didn't
It,
capitalize at all. You kicked 6 field goals,
yeah.
man.
It makes you want to take a peek at what Russell Wilson could do.
Yes.
To your
Yeah.
point, I get your point. Yeah, it makes you want to take a look and
But
just see if Russell Wilson could maybe finish one of those drives.
but
Rather, right?
like you mentioned, he did protect the ball. The defense was great. They ran the ball okay. I mean, Najee only
Okay.
averaged 3.5 carries on the ground. They just, I don't know. They're still searching for their identity offensively, and they need to figure out what quarterback it's gonna be, man.
Let me ask you this, and maybe this can take us to the next game, which
Yeah,
maybe I don't know if you want to talk about. Let's talk about Cincy in New England
yeah,
because it was the 1 p.m. slate. Because we do need to get to that Browns Cowboys game as well.
yeah.
Because when we look at the rest of this division compared to the Steelers now,
Yeah.
it doesn't look too crazy for the Steelers to at least come second in the division.
No,
So
and look, it's week 1, right? We don't want to
week
get ahead of
one,
ourselves, but
week
we can
one,
only take what's in front of us right now and react
yeah,
to that. Without trying to go overboard and over the top. I do agree. Look, well, even when we broke down that division, I do think you and I each had Pittsburgh finishing 4th, but it was very close. We talked
yeah,
about how difficult and physical this division is going to be. They're going to see each other all, they're going to play the other team 6 times. They're going to beat the shit out of each other just like they do every year. And
yeah.
we'll see who's standing. That just because we had them in 4th didn't necessarily mean we were counting the
Them out.
Steelers out of the conversation.
Their
And now,
basement of that
man,
division is like 7-8 wins,
you mentioned looking at this Bengals Patriots game and taking
Yeah.
it to the AFC North, dude. I don't know what to make of Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and company right now. Obviously they put up 10 points. They lose 16-10 against the Jacoby Brissett led New England Patriots team that, besides Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, were thought of as maybe the worst team in the National Football League this year.
Yeah.
Bill's gone. It's Gerard Mayo. What's the message look like? How does the team kind of put this together early on? From the video of Joe and the Gatorade bottle and that wrist and hand that affected him last year, the T. Higgins thing's incredibly weird to me
The
because he's
hamstring
not
too.
going to play week 2. But 2 days before week 1, when he was added to the injury report, he said at his locker he feels fantastic and he's good to go.
Right.
Jamar Chase plays but doesn't really get targeted, doesn't get the ball. Obviously made some comments before the game about how if he's going to beat Justin Jefferson in terms of contract and money, he's going to blow him out of the fucking what. Like, just there's a lot of issues going on in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
One thing you and I did talk about that wasn't the issue Sunday because you played a bad Patriots offense, but on paper, they do have the worst defense probably in the AFC North.
Yeah.
And if your offense isn't going to be that high-flying Joe Burrow, 350-yard day, Jamar Chase, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns type of offense, you're going to have some issues this year.
Yeah. No,
So
I agree.
Week 1, Scotty, if there was a siren right here, an alarm, a horn I could pull,
Yeah.
I'm worried about the Cincinnati Bengals.
I feel you, man. And I wasn't optimistic coming into the season for the Bengals. And you know how I've been with the Bengals the last couple of seasons. I love Joe Burrow. I love the trio that they've had out there with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But man, you know what it feels like, and it's week one. We can call it week one overreactions, whatever you want to call it. It feels like it's the end of that era already. Like that's what it feels like, because T. Higgins, I don't know what's going on with the injury, but he's on there with a hamstring injury, and that's the last thing you want to see for not only a wide receiver in the NFL and your wide receiver too, but T. Higgins specifically. He's a guy that has struggled with these muscle type of injuries in his legs. And you know how it can hamper you down for an entire season if you just tweak it, if you come back too soon. He's on a contract season. Like, this is the worst case scenario for him, for the Bengals. And then you got Jamar Chase, who is just showing all of these red flags from a personality standpoint. I do get it. You just give the guy his money. I do get it, because I've watched the Eagles get ahead of it and get it done for guys like A.J. Brown, guys like Smitty. Right? Even bringing in Saquon, giving him the money. Like, I get giving your guys the money, because I love to see the Eagles do it. But at the end of the day, man, this is a contract year. If you want to get your bag, you have to go out there and perform. But then on the other side, it's like Zach Taylor isn't even making, their offensive coordinator. I should be more specific. But they're not even making an effort to get this. It's almost as if you're sabotaging his contract talks in a sense. And then he starts to feel some type of way about it. It is the worst equation you could put together for the Cincinnati Bengals. And on top of all that, you lost Joe Mixon. That was your workhorse in the backfield. And your offensive line has stunk since Joe Burrow came into the league.
And you see what Mixon goes and does for the Texans, who we'll talk about, later on in the show as well, man. Adding that to that offense.
Bad decisions.
Like you replace Joe Mixon with a guy in Zach Moss who's never sniffed 1,000-yard season in his rushing career. You lost Tyler Boyd, obviously. You don't have that big pay. Like, remember even when they had Boyd and Higgins and Chase, like CJ Uzoma that 1 year, they would just let free over the middle, and he'd have a big play. They're just lacking that. I know they brought in Gesicki. I don't mind that addition. He almost caught a touchdown, didn't hold on to it in the corner of the end, and that maybe changes the game. And his dumb white ass does the gritty across the entire field.
See, but I think they would be fine if they weren't in the AFC North. Like, they'll be fine. Maybe they'll get to 7-8 wins, but you don't have time to be asleep in this division right now. Now, mind you
don't at all. And the AFC as a whole is a crowded, busy conference as well. When you're looking at that 6 and 7 wild card spot. And I'm telling you, Scotty, look, man, and maybe it's just one of those things where it's a bad day, you're embarrassed, and all athletes do it. I don't care if you're at the professional level or a little kid, playing pee-wee football. When it's my old injury, or it's this, it's that, right? But he kept flexing that hand, and then the video where he could barely hold up the Gatorade bottle. It's the same hand, the same wrist, man, where he couldn't close it around a football last year. And if something is wrong, like seriously wrong,
nerve damage,
that is going to be a problem for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Absolutely.
Also,
and he's gonna get hit.
A little bit of a hot take. I think Zach Taylor stinks as a head coach.
I think
he stinks. Yeah. I think if you're looking at coaches, everyone's focused in Philly, and people are focused on McCarthy and Saleh and all these other teams that are.
I thought he was going to get canned last year.
Zach Taylor is most definitely on the hot seat when it comes to this Bengals team, man. So
I agree.
Yeah,
man.
I am worried about the Bengals. In terms of the Patriots, I mean, they got a win.
Great W.
Running it. I mean. Maybe that takes their win total to 4 or 5 this year. I don't know, but we'll see what they can look like. The one last thing I did want to bring up about this game, Scotty, I apologize, but the one thing we heard all offseason about when it comes to New England Patriots, and I get it, pass pro is different than run blocking, but is how bad this offensive line is and was. And they can't expose Drake May to it this early in his career. That's why Jacoby Brissett's starting right now, because they don't want to throw him to the wolves behind this offensive line. Well, that offensive line pushed around the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line, and Ramondre Stevenson went for 25 and $120 and a tutty in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dominated.
So that's another concern when it comes to this Bengals team. It's not all on the offense, not all on Burrow's wrist and Higgins' injury and Chase's money. This defense, which we already predicted would be fourth in terms of this division, got bullied in the trenches by one of the worst O-lines in football.
Now
that's how bad this Sunday was for them.
Now go figure it out in Kansas City on the road.
Yeah, right. Right. Good luck, man.
Good luck, man. You never know. They could bounce back, and maybe they do. Maybe like Darius said, maybe they come out with a force. Maybe they come out with a little bit of a revenge taste in their mouth. I don't know. I don't see it, though. I think the Kansas City defense is ferocious, man. I think they're going to tear them up. But
let's continue talking about these quarterback issues, man. Let's get to another game that was absolutely bonkers, but in
tell me where you want to
go. The worst way. The Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears with one of the
bonkers,
weirdest, ugliest games you'll see this season. And it gave us a little insight to some questions we had on one side, and it brought up some questions on the other just week one. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, or if you didn't bet on this game, Scotty and I had the over. We missed by a point or two, whatever. That's irrelevant to this conversation. But
I did have Bears money line.
You did have the Bears money line. That's correct. But we both, when we were talking about this game, said, look out for the Titans to maybe cover the 4.5, whatever it was sitting at, possibly, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Tennessee Titans get out to a 17-0 lead.
Running away with it.
Not only do they lose the game, they do not cover the 4, and the Chicago Bears do not score an offensive touchdown.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
24-17, this game ends. Caleb Williams looked atrocious. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do anything offensively, and they come all the way back because of a punt block for a touchdown, a couple of field goals, a 2-point conversion that Caleb actually got to somebody, and to wrap it all off, pick six that Will Levis flipped backhand basically this way from his knees. And it goes the other way. It's one of the funniest, greatest clips and pictures of him on his knees with his hands on his head. Just, my goodness, man. An ugly, ugly game. Two things, right? We can get to Will Levis in a second because we talked about the Titans, Scotty. We talked about the weapons they brought in this offseason. And Tony Pollard looked pretty good, right? And Calvin Ridley, et cetera. You have D-Hop. You brought in Tyler Boyd. And, man, Will Levis stunk up the joint, especially in the second half. But the other side, this is very similar to the conversation I brought up when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers for me. You won the game. As a Bears fan, you take the win. You're happy. 1-0. Let's move on. He can't be worse. However, your number 1 overall pick looked disgusting at home against the Titans. Like, they're not a bad defense. You and I talked to Jarius Sneed.
At home.
93 yards. Running backwards from the snap to, dude, they were in field goal range multiple times. The one was really bad, dude. It was like 1st and 10 or 2nd and 2 or something at like the Tennessee 25 or 30. And he literally took like a 18-yard loss on a sack because he just kept running backwards and spinning around and didn't get rid of the ball. It was a disaster in Chicago.
Yeah, it was. That's the perfect way to put it. And I mean, it was a disaster on both ends, right? It was the disaster offensively for the Chicago Bears. It was a disaster to blow a 17-point lead for the Tennessee Titans. Both QB situations were absolute disasters when you talk about each mistake that each guy made. Now, Caleb Williams didn't necessarily turn the ball over, right? But he may as well have with some of the decisions that he made in critical moments. But the Bears defense, special teams able to come through for them. I am just flabbergasted though, man, that this Bears offense couldn't give us like any signs of life. We couldn't get like a DeAndre Swift. He had a 20-yard run, 20 of his 30 total yards on the ground, dog. I mean, we didn't even get any like DJ Moore. He had what? 8 targets, 5 36 yards.
Well, and that's a
29 yards for Keenan Allen. He's questionable with an injury. Rome Odunze, he got injured as well in this game, man.
That's another thing, bro. Like both your receivers are nicked up now. Odunze is probably going to miss some time. Whereas Keenan Allen looks like he'll be active this week, but he's still questionable with the heel injury.
Banged up. So
Cole Kmet, 1 catch for 4 yards. Dude. I'm telling you again, Scotty, it's just another reason why I am so thankful for Red Zone. Because God forbid one of these games is the only game on television and Red Zone doesn't exist. I think I would rather just take a walk around my neighborhood on a chilly Sunday afternoon. Let me ask you this.
Do you think that not generally speaking, do you think Caleb Williams turns it around, but do you think he turns it around this upcoming week against the Texans?
That's a
tough assignment, right? It can't get worse.
It can't be worse. Technically, I guess 93
turnovers
yards,
would be worse.
No touchdowns.
Turnovers and under 100 passing yards.
I mean, dude, you're talking Sunday Night Football, I believe, in Houston.
Let me double check. They're definitely it's in Houston.
Yep. I mean,
that pass rush, man, like it's not going to be fun.
I don't know. Houston's home opener.
They can't run the football, so
no.
That's
we saw
the thing they have to figure out.
We saw Houston's offense go to work this past week, and that was just week 1. You know they're going to be better, and. I mean, if Chicago gets down early and he has to drop back, I don't know. So, yes, do I think Caleb Williams turns it around and I think he's going to be okay? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do think the number 1 overall pick is going to end up okay. And I think him and these weapons will figure it out at some point. But it was an ugly, ugly debut. And I don't think things are getting turned around in week 2, which brings me to my point. Like, if you're a Bears fan, just thank you, God, because, I mean, you're staring down the barrel of an 0-2 start to a season you had high expectations for. If your special teams and defense don't make those plays and come back from this one. So, very, very weird game, man. Just to touch on this one for half a second. Bills-Cardinals, obviously the overhits for us in this one. Exciting game in Buffalo. Does it make you feel any better about the Cardinals? I mean, obviously they blow the lead, right? What was it, 17-3 in this one or something like that, or 14-3? They blow a lead, but the Bills and Josh Allen come back. Marvin Harrison Jr. has one catch.
I'll feel better when he gets involved. That's when I'll feel better about the Cardinals.
And apparently, I didn't see the end of this one on Red Zone, but like the clip was out there of him running down the right sideline wide open for what would have been a game tying and then winning extra point at the end of the game, and Kyler just didn't see him and missed him. I mean, we'll get into the Bills part of it when we get into tonight's game and how they can build off of that win. Cardinals, I just thought, maybe I shouldn't say I feel better about the Cardinals competing, but it did affirm my belief in the fact that Kyler Murray and this offense will be able to put up points this year. And that's without a Marvin Harrison Jr. being a factor at all in this one.
That's fair. That game was a good example of why I picked Josh Allen to win MVP, though. Obviously, we'll get into the Bills a little bit later, but
good point.
That's how he's going to have to play all year. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's how he's going to have to play all season. But
a very fun one that came down to the wire, dude. Colts, Texans, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. That division, we talked about if that's going to be a battle or not. It was a battle week 1. First of all,
let me just play better.
Let me just say this, man. Anthony Richardson is going to be fun to watch, man. Yeah. It's going to be fun. And especially when he gets the easier throws down, man, because you'll know what I'm talking about. As a Texans better, and we took money line, we lucked out in this one a couple times because he made some of the most incredible throws. We all saw the one that, traveled in the air for 70 yards just about and hits him inside, under pressure.
Like
not
off
even gets his body into it. It was maybe one of the greatest throws I've ever seen. He had the Alec Pierce jump ball to make it a 2-point game, to make the drive down there. He had the touchdown or the 2-point conversion run or whatever it was. Or was it a touch? No, it was his touchdown run, excuse me. Where he bulldozed his way in over 2 or 3 defenders. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He's got a massive arm. But like I said, he makes some of those incredible throws, but also missed some wide open streakers that would have just been walk-in touchdowns. He overthrew them a couple times in this game. And it's like, once he gets those down, Scotty, once the easy ones are locked in for him, he's going to be a problem. And the Colts offense is going to be fun, especially when they add to that receiving core in the future for him. But the Texans, man, obviously they do come away with a win. It was on the road. This was a big game for them. The defense, again, you give up 27 points. You couldn't really get off the field in the second half when you kept going up by 7, 8, 9, and the Colts would keep coming back in the last 5 minutes, 8 minutes. But offensively, CJ Stroud is just money, bro. Like that throw to Nico Collins to basically ice the game on 3rd and 11 or whatever it was on the final drive. He had the deep ball to, I believe, Nico or Tank Dell. No, Nico went up and got it. Diggs scores, and the Joe Mixon addition, Scotty. They couldn't run the ball last year. The Houston Texans offense could not run the football. Joe Mixon comes over on top of CJ Stroud, on top of Tank Dell, on top of Nico Collins, on top of Dalton Schultz, on top of Stephon Diggs, and he just runs wild, dude. Finds the end zone. What'd he rush for? $150?
159. Yeah.
Jesus. That's scary, bro. And that's why I held the Texans in such high regard. Just how we talk about this Eagles defense or this Eagles team and offense being unlocked with an addition of a Saquon Barkley. This Texans team, man, adding Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon is fucking scary. I love this team.
Yeah, no, this game was very entertaining as you prescribed there. With the Texans defense giving up 27 points, I just think it's more of the Colts and what they're going to present offensively. I just think you look at Anthony Richardson back there, you look at Jonathan Taylor, that duo coming out of the backfield. It's just very dynamic, similar to what I was saying about Justin Fields, but on an even higher level of dynamic, right? And they do have some guys, like they're not the biggest names, but they'll go out there and make some crazy catches, man. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Ashton Dulin. They didn't get Adonai Mitchell, the rookie, involved too much, but I expect they'll keep opening up this offense more and more for Anthony Richardson. I was just excited to see the Colts come out and look like that offensively, see Richardson come back off that injury.
Brother,
and
you want to know what I just realized, though? Like, I did not, check his stat line. Dude, he's 9 for 19. He had 9 completions in the whole game.
Yeah, 212 yards. So he's just out there, I mean, what? Look, the long for Pierce is 60 yards. He was averaging 41.7 yards per catch. Had 3 catches for 125. Jeez. Ashton Dulin had a 54-yard catch. That was his only catch in the game. So he had some big gainers out there for sure. But it's his dynamic. It's his build, man. He's like Josh Allen, but he's faster. If he can just hone it in, like you said. And then on the other side, man, this is going to be a battle for years to come between these two guys. CJ Stroud, just kind of a different type of quarterback, right? He plays in a different sense. He's more of a passer, more elite in that sense. Goes 24 for 32, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. You mentioned the addition of Joe Mixon. Nico Collins still stamping his foot down as wide receiver 1 for this team. Only makes him even more dangerous if Stephon Diggs ends up being your wide receiver 2. That's a bonus. That's not a bad thing. And then, of course, just getting Tank Dell back mixed in there. He was coming off an injury as well. So these 2 teams are going to be tough week in, week out. Colts, I think, proved in this game. Week 1, give it, right? But I do think their recipe is a tough recipe to figure out on a week-to-week basis. And I think they're going to give teams a lot of challenges this year and could battle for the postseason, man. They could. But the Texans, they are a very good team. I can't wait to see.
I do agree, man. I'm just going to skip ahead here to the 4 o'clock slate. We can go back to some of these other games as the show goes on. Just a real quick side note, Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. Like, I know you were at home against the Washington Commanders and a rookie in Jaden Daniels. Dude, it's a long season. It's week 1. Baker and Mike Evans. It's going to be fun to continue to watch, man. Because I questioned, where was that lightning in a bottle for that one,
No. Baker's confidence is through the roof.
Yeah. And he knows, bro. There was one play, I think he was mic'd up, where he said, if Mike's one-on-one, I'm throwing the ball to Mike. And I think that was the first touchdown catch for Mike Evans in this one. Yeah, but that's my point. I don't know why guys just don't get that, bro. Like, when your guys, especially Mike Evans and AJ Brown, those type of dudes are one-on-one, you let them go make a play on the football. More
It's
times
just
than not, they're going to come down with it, man.
It's that troll nature era that we're in social media where you get picked apart on every single decision. So they're so scared to throw these interceptions, man, that they just don't give guys a chance. But I do agree with you. What'd you
Let's
think
get to
of
the one. Oh, go
I
ahead.
did want to ask you, what'd you think of Jaden Daniels though on the other side?
I didn't get to see too much of him, man, because I was into that Browns.
You talk about dual threat, man.
Browns
Justin
game.
Fields and Lamar Jackson. He's given some of that.
Yeah,
That's what he's giving.
Oh yeah, I mean, I 17 to 24, 16 carries, 88 yards, 2 tutties. I mean, he's an exciting player. He's an exciting player at LSU.
Great
man.
fantasy player for sure.
Yeah, if that can translate to the NFL, it's gonna be something to keep an eye on. Terry McLaurin, 2 catches for 17 yards.
Yeah, that's not good.
I mean, they're 2 leading receivers where they're running backs, and Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. And then in came Zach Ertz and then Luke McCaffrey. I mean, so they're gonna have to figure some things out, man. You do have a Terry McLaurin, you have a Jamison Crowder, you have a Olamide Zaccheaus. Find ways to continue to get him familiar with them, and they'll be a little bit better through the air. But yeah, no, he had a good debut. It's just their defense got absolutely smoked. In this one by Baker and Mike Evans and company. So definitely something to keep an eye on in Tampa Bay when it comes to that division, and especially when you see how the Falcons look week 1 again. I know when you're talking level of competition and who you played defensively, but it's a 1 in the win column for Baker and the Bucks, and it's an 0 in the win column for them. Yeah, man. Yeah, well, we'll talk about more about them this weekend, man. But that Browns game. Man. I fear I've greatly misread the situation and misjudged just exactly what Deshaun Watson could look like, even theoretically. He's lost, man. It's gone. Whatever Deshaun Watson once was, even 50% of that, it is gone.
Yeah,
it's not coming back. He's not confident. He doesn't have the same oomph on the football. They can't push the ball down the field. They also had some drops as well in this game. Trevon Diggs' interception was off the arm of one of the receivers, or Njoku as well. They're in trouble, man. They are in trouble. And again, when you want to talk about a Pittsburgh Steelers team with a window when it comes to Cincinnati, it's another team you might have a window on. But I do want to say, as bad as Deshaun Watson was, and they have a serious problem at the quarterback position. And that contract and that trade is going to go down as maybe the worst in NFL history. But that defense was tough to watch as well.
Yeah, they were bad, man.
At home, in the dog pound, with all those expectations, you and I talked, are they the best defense in football? Are they the best defense in this tough division, loaded with talent on that side of the ball, going against the team that added nothing throughout the offseason, that we laughed at a little bit and that we hate? And they got fucked up.
Yeah. How did they score 33 points? I mean, you look at the numbers, and I'm just like, how? Like Dak, 19 for 32, 179 yards, 1 touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott, the leading rusher, 10 carries, 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Leading receiver, CeeDee Lamb, 5 receptions, 61 yards, no touchdowns. Brandon Cooks had a touchdown with 40 yards receiving. The fuck did they get 33 points? Like, I don't understand. It was like such a bothersome game to watch. Obviously the Browns defense, it was more of like moments, right? The long third downs, they just couldn't get off the field. You had some Deshaun Watson just like blunders on offense that you just can't really make sense of. And maybe that's how it happened, right? The 2 interceptions. You also had a fumble mixed in there.
And they gave up a punt return touchdown as well.
Punt return, Turbin. Yeah. So that's where the points come. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you on the Browns, man. Deshaun Watson is a no-go for me, man. He looked I think the worst part is that he looked awkward out there.
Yeah.
Like he looked awkward. Yeah. He looked like he didn't know.
And I know, listen, I know it's not like riding a bike, especially at this level. And you can't just sit out for over a year or 2 years and come back and expect things to just be, sunshine and rainbows for you. Yeah. But like you said, to think that this dude was once like a legitimate MVP
top 5, top
contender.
10 quarterback.
Had a major lead over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs a couple years ago. That dude is the same guy. I mean, he's lost. He's gone. I don't think it's coming back.
How much credit do you give the Cowboys defense?
Oh, I mean, yeah. And listen, I will give them a ton of credit because I despise as an Eagles fan when my team doesn't get when they talk about the bad of the other team, and it's nothing good that the defense did. Listen, Michael Parsons, as much as TJ Watt dominated the ball game in Atlanta, Michael Parsons wrecked the game in Cleveland as well. And I do really like what Mike Zimmer, and that's another thing to keep an eye on, man. The Mike Zimmer from Dan Quinn, like how far off of it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we thought, oh, they're going to lose something from the defense coordinator leaving. Maybe not. And how they line Micah up all over the line of scrimmage, they put him right over the ball at the center and whatever. And his athleticism, he'll start outside or he'll start inside, go make a loop around the right tackle. It's not there. And then he comes back in and beats you and gets to the ball. He's an absolute menace, man. They turn the Browns over. Their defense is going to be good again. And you saw Eric Kendrick makes a couple plays as well. Their defense is going to be good. It's all going to come down to what that offense can continue to look like for the Cowboys. But it was an excellent win for them, and it was one of the worst losses that a team took in week 1, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In terms of expectations I had set for them, really bad. I do want to backtrack since we're talking about terrible, terrible quarterback play. Daniel Jones and the New York Giants and those god-awful pajamas that they decided to wear in week 1. I'm almost out of words for it at this point. It's funny because I'm an Eagles fan. It's funny. I'm an Eagles fan. You're in my division. And, remember 2 years ago in 22 when they had to come here and people actually thought Daniel Jones was going to go on the road and win another playoff game, right? That was funny. Is he the worst quarterback in football? If he's not the worst, is he bottom 3, bottom 4, bottom 5? Where's the cutoff, right? Because I can't think of many more. Bryce Young's the only name that comes to mind right now.
Because it would be, you would think Sam Darnold, but he just fucking dogged.
And Bryce Young, we can at least give the respect to the fact that he was a rookie last year and is in a poverty franchise.
Yeah, give him a little bit of grace, right? There's not a ton of talent around Bryce Young. So maybe Deshaun Watson.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I
don't know. I would have to go back because I watched the Browns and Cowboys game. I didn't watch the Giants game at all. I would have to go back and watch how some of the things went down with Daniel. It sounds bad. It looks bad. It sounds bad. Smells bad.
A pick 6 to Van Ginkel inside his own 15. Literally just right the line of scrimmage. He threw another interception.
Maybe I would rather have Deshaun
early in the game. Dude, I'm being serious. I would rather have Bo Nix. I'd rather have Gardner Minshew. I'd rather have Sam Darnold. I'd rather have Jacoby Brissett. I'd rather he's bad, Scotty. He's really, 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 really bad. And that's
I hear you. And
there's within one game, it took one game for Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
To give a little bit of an opinion subtly at his
How much was Saquon just really helping Daniel Jones' image?
Yeah, I know, dude.
He still sucked. Don't get me wrong. Saquon wasn't making him an MVP candidate, but
no. It was
how much did he hide?
And a crazy day. And you know what this day was capped off by, Scotty? 2 NFC teams that are going to be trying to compete for an NFC title this year that went to overtime in Detroit, man. 26
dumb
to 20.
Overtime rule.
Yep. The Lions come away with a win. David Montgomery punches it in. Fun game. Obviously, the Rams lose the game and they lose Puka Nacua. He hits the IR, so he's going to be out for at least 4 games after re-aggravating whatever that lower body injury was right before halftime. On the positive, I mean, Stafford looked good, and Cooper Kupp seems back to 2020, 2021. Yeah. Cooper Kupp within this offense.
Hammered
21 targets, bro. 20, and I know Puka got hurt in the first half, but it doesn't really. 21 targets, 14 catches, a buck 10, a touchdown. I mean, he's unbelievable. Stafford still looks really good, but you do have to give credits to the Lions, man, for coming away with this win.
Dude, they have the Rams number, man. 2 times in a row now.
They seem to. And the thing that I like and respect about this Lions win is it wasn't the flashiest. Their offense, wasn't the best. They didn't have to score 35 points. Their defense only gave up 20, including an overtime period. That offensive line is something serious, dude. Like when they want to run the ball at you, they are going to run the ball down your
big
throat.
boys.
Jameson Williams. Like that brings another level of explosiveness to this team.
He is who we thought he is.
I mean, Amon-Ra didn't have to do a single thing, and they won the game. Laporta didn't have to do too much. They won the game. Yeah. So that's a bonus to them. Like, those guys are going to get going. Goff's going to have better games. They're still going to be able to run the ball at you. So that's a bonus if I'm a Detroit Lions fan. Like, our stars didn't necessarily show up, and we won a game against a really good team.
Yeah, and you're holding the Rams to 20 points. I mean, their secondary looked really good out there despite Cooper Kupp's production.
That Carlton Davis pickup is a big one for them, dude.
Yeah, they play physical out there. I like the way they play. So it is interesting because defense was one of their weaker points, obviously, last year. They gave up a lot of points, but 20 points to the Rams is not bad at all, especially coming off, obviously offense can be a little sloppy. Defense is the same thing. They can be a little sloppy, missed tackles, stuff like that. So
yeah, man.
Week 1 to come out
like
that.
I do just want to throw out there right now. I do just want to throw out there right now. There's 50 people in here right now, and only 7 of you are in the YouTube channel. Do us a favor. Do yourself a favor. If you're watching live on Twitter right now, go over to the Turf Talk YouTube channel. The link is in our bio, in the link tree. Subscribe. Check it out on here. You can get your comments pulled up with us. I know I saw a comment from Phil pop up for Bill's money line tonight through Twitter, through X, whatever you want to call it. That's one of the only Twitter comments I've seen in quite some time. So if you do want to be interactive throughout the show and throughout any of our shows, subscribe to the channel and we'll get your comments and questions pulled up with you guys. So go subscribe. Anyway, Monday Night Football, man, in the Bay. Just a big letdown. And honestly, after a fantastic week of gambling, the game started off good. We took the lead 7-6. Breece Hall cashed our anytime touchdown score. But Aaron Rodgers and the Jets get blown out by Brock Purdy. Well, not blown out at the end, but because they scored a garbage time touchdown with Tyrod Taylor in the game. But nonetheless, Brock Purdy and the Niners come away with a win. No Christian McCaffrey in this one. And I think that was the most worrisome thing. This Jets team, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're way better off than the Browns are. Don't get what I'm about to say misconstrued, because they do actually have a quarterback. And we saw that one drive where he got the ball to Garrett Wilson, and I know they were playing a tough Niners defense on the road, and they'll clean things up with that offensive line. I do think the Jets are going to be okay, but that defense that we hear all about, and on paper, it is one of the most talented in the National Football League. Hell, it might be the most talented in the National Football League on paper. They, too, like the Browns, got beat the fuck up by not Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry, what's his name again? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Jordan Mason.
I picked him up in Dynasty. He saved my ass. So you got to put some respect on it, bro.
That's who averaged almost 5.3 yards per carry, ran it at you 28 times for $147 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Not Christian McCaffrey. Not the offensive player of the year. Not an MVP candidate. Not the number 1 pick in everybody's fantasy football drafts. Jordan Mason did this to you. Yeah. Now, I'll tip my cap to Kyle Shanahan and this offensive line and to Jordan Mason himself. That does scare me a little bit as an Eagles fan in the NFC, seeing what this guy can do against a great defense and thinking about what Christian McCaffrey brings to the table within this offense. But the Jets defense and defensive line and linebackers should be ashamed of themselves. There was a quote at halftime from Lisa Rutledge saying, she had talked to Robert Saleh, and he said, when we want to stop the run, we can stop the run. What the fuck does that mean? Did you not want to stop the run tonight? I'm confused. Right. What were you trying to do? What were you trying to take away? I will, as much as I did put my cap to Kyle Shanahan, I will also say the NFL better find the shit out of the 49ers. Terry, if you're watching, they better find the shit out of your team, okay? Because that is absolutely ludicrous if they get away with that.
What? What are you talking about?
Bro, he slipped up. Why? He's obviously never been in the spotlight before, never had a microphone shoved in his face after a game. Jordan Mason slipped up and told the reporter after the game that he knew he was starting Friday night. That means they knew Christian McCaffrey was out since Friday night.
I don't think anything's gonna happen with that, man.
I've seen less.
You knew he was starting. That doesn't mean CMC is technically inactive, right?
Some got said to him because then between that interview and when he hit the podium, he brought up how he doesn't like doing interviews talking to media because da-da-da. So he clearly got a talking from someone within the organization between those two interviews and went, yo, zip it.
Tread lightly, bruh.
I've seen less be punished, and it is just that's bullshit. But regardless, didn't matter. Won't. The Jets couldn't stop a nosebleed. And they get embarrassed on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers doesn't even finish the game. Tyrod Taylor does. So
there was some loser mentality for sure. I was disappointed in the Jets, man, pulling Aaron Rodgers. I think I do get it in a sense. He's 40 years old. You're trying to protect him, but at the same time, he could use those reps. He was out for a full season, man. He could use some reps against a live defense. That looked real weak to me. That was like, we can't. We're getting physically dominated out here. We can't risk Aaron to even try to come back in this game. I was extra salty because I had a parlay with Aaron to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So when he went and sat down for basically the last half of the fourth quarter, where maybe they could have gotten a garbage time touchdown. That made me a little salty. That was a little bit of a loser type mentality from Saleh and that whole coaching staff, in my opinion. But very disappointing performance from the Jets. I think more than disappointing from the Jets, it's just more impressive from the 49ers, the way they were able to go out and dominate without CMC. Obviously, the MVP from last year. Not the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, excuse me. From last year. We know what he brings to the table, but it just speaks how versatile this 49ers offense really can be, how deep they are as a team. You come out of this game, it wasn't Debo, it wasn't Ayuk that led the way, it wasn't Kittle that led the way receiving, it was Juwan Jennings that led the way receiving. So they have a lot of different ways they can beat you. Kudos to the 49ers, of course. And we'll see what the Jets are about, man. That's not an easy way to gauge the Jets because the 49ers can do that to any team on any given night. We'll have to wait and see on the Jets because they didn't show me a ton to be excited about at the same time. I like Breece Hall. It's about it. The defense, I mean, they look like they're missing Hassan Reddick to that point.
They may never get Hassan Reddick because they may be trading Hassan Reddick after all this. And the funny thing about it was people were kind of mocking him because, if he didn't play in that one, which obviously he didn't, he was going to owe them like $800,000 and, he'd be down like $5 million, $4 million or something total from all of this. And it's like, and then you watch them struggle on the defensive front. And it's like, who don't you want to pay now?
Yeah,
who could you use right now? So we'll see how that back and forth continues and how that settles, man. But that's going to do it for our week 1 recap, Scotty. Let's get into our power rankings heading into week 2 and Thursday night's matchup. We're just about a half hour away from kickoff down in Miami. I did put my week 2 next to my week 1 just to see if I took too much away from teams, if I boosted anybody up too much. And there are some new faces and some new names on this list at the back end that weren't there previously. Maybe a bit of an overreaction after 1 week, but some of these teams, like we just talked about, some of these games were a pretty bad watch, man. So to kick us off here, I still have my 1 and 2 spot the same. I still have the Chiefs and the 49ers 1 and 2. For the most part, when it comes to my power rankings, man, if you don't lose, you're not really going to be knocked down a peg above another team. Unless the Lions went on the road and beat San Fran and the Eagles barely beat the Giants at home, maybe then I say, I put them a spot above the Eagles in that week. But Chiefs and 49ers win their 1 and 2. I do have the Eagles at number 3 in my updated power rankings. They were number 4 last week with a big win in Brazil and didn't play their best ball at all with the Jalen Hurts turnovers. I had the Texans number 4. They were at number 6 last week. I had the Lions at 5. They stay on par, even though they got a nice win. The Ravens, I dropped from 3 to 6 in my power rankings. The Bills move up to number 7. I do have the Cowboys on my list now, coming in at number 8. I do think that was a hell of a win against the Browns team I had inside my top 10 last week. I have the Dolphins at number 9, and I have the Steelers coming in at number 10 for me on this list.
Gotcha. So I may have reacted a little bit more volatile than you may have here, but yeah, let's kick it off. I have the Chiefs at number 1. Obviously, they're the best team, defending Super Bowl champions, beat the Ravens week 1. Big W to start the season off. Number 2, I kept the Ravens right there. Actually didn't drop them for a loss to Kansas City in Kansas City. Like, I don't think that's really a big deal for them when you think about the grand scheme. And I do think they played them really tough and showed that they can compete once again. But to be fair, they couldn't get over that hump. That's why they come at number 2 here. Number 3, I have the 49ers coming in right ahead of the Eagles. I think the 49ers once again prove they're the class of the NFC until they're not. They do get that respect for me. I'll give them that. The defense looks ready to go. There's no Dre Greenlaw out there, right? They still got a couple guys that are coming back from injuries on that end. And the offense was rolling just fine against the Jets defense without CMC. So got to give them credit. Eagles obviously come away with a great W to start the season. They got a lot of moving pieces over the offseason that they had to put together in this game. So it was great to see them come away with a dub. This is where I say I may have reacted a little bit more than what you may have, because I did move the Texans down from 5 to 6, and I moved the Lions from 6 to 5. Now, the reason
it's just how we viewed,
it may be the difference in the way we view them before, right? Yeah. Week 1 going into week 2 as well, where we had
1,000%.
But really, the Lions, I just thought that was a more impressive win. Obviously the Lions are at home against the Rams. It was a close game, goes overtime. The Texans have a close game against the Colts. We'll see how good the Colts are, right? Maybe they do end up being a better team than what the Rams are. But nonetheless, Texans aren't losing too many points there. They just dropped 1 slot. More me giving credit to the Lions and taking it away from the Texans. The Rams come in at number 7 for me, man. I didn't drop them too much because, once again, you're on the road in Detroit. This is a top 3 NFC team right now in the Detroit Lions. You take the tough L. It is a tough L. It's a tough one to swallow, especially after losing to them in the postseason last year. But I didn't drop the Rams too much yet. We'll see how that Puka Nacua injury affects things as the season goes on, as more attention is put on to Cooper Kupp. We'll see how that goes. Number 8, I'm just like you. I had the Cowboys, who weren't ranked for me last week. They weren't in my top 10. Defense showed up, obviously, against that Browns offense. We'll see how good the defense really is once they play a proven quarterback. I just don't think Deshaun Watson is that anymore, as we talked about. But the offense kept rolling against what's supposed to be a top defense in the Cleveland Browns. Lost Tony Pollard over the offseason. Didn't really replace. You brought in Zeke. Zeke able to get it done in this game. And you get CeeDee Lamb back. He didn't really get that much time to practice. Still impactful in this game. We'll see where Dak is at, because if you watch the game, he did have 2 plays to Denzel Ward that should have been interceptions. We're not sitting here counting should have been. So, to be fair, that's why the Cowboys come in at number 8. That was a very impressive win on the road. Number 9, the Jets fell from 7 to 9 for me here. I didn't want to drop them too much because I still do believe in that defense. I still do want to see what Aaron Rodgers looks like with the offense when he can really get it going. Maybe not playing against one of the best defenses in the NFL in San Fran. And then number 10, man, this is where it got a little tricky for me, because there's quite a few teams that I could have threw up there, the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, but I went with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, the defense. And I mentioned, how I look at their offense, Justin Fields, the dynamic element that he presents on their offense. It's just one of those weird things. It weirdly complements how good their defense is if they're able to run the ball successfully with that duo in the backfield. So I went with the Steelers there, really because of that defense, though. That defense is, we talk about great defenses, the Jets, the Browns, right? What defense showed
Which
up
one showed
this
up?
week?
Yeah.
The Steelers defense showed up this week. So I'm really liking what they got going. They do have to figure out that quarterback position, though, man. And then another honorable mention I'll throw to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I thought they looked really good.
I like it.
Well, like you said
I do like that honorable mention. A playoff team from last year won a playoff game. We know that
Baker
all too well.
Mayfield
And you come out and look that way. That is a team that's right there for me as well. No, I love your list. And I think you are probably being a little bit more fair than I am this week. For me, I went to the teams, for the most part, that won a game. And the way I'm looking at it is, if you weren't inside like my top 5 or 6 and you lost, you probably free fell a little bit. The only team that stayed inside my top 10 that lost a game last week was the Baltimore Ravens, and they were 3rd. So like I said, if you like when you're that high, like if the Chiefs would have lost to the Ravens, like I wasn't moving the Chiefs down, right? If the Niners would have lost to the Jets, I wasn't kicking the Niners out of my top 10. But when you are sitting in that 8 to 10 range, somewhere right around there for me previously, and you lose a game, and a team like the Cowboys goes out and wins a game, and the Steelers win a game, I did push those teams in ahead of them. But yeah, the Jets for me are probably the one team I punished the most. They were 7th. I kicked them out of my top 10. I actually didn't have the Rams on my list, so that's probably why I didn't include them here. I kicked out the Jets, the Bengals, and the Browns from my top 10.
Which, I mean, keeping in mind the Puka Nacua injury, him being on IR,
moving forward is right.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy. They probably won't be there for much longer, if I had to guess. But we'll see. We'll see if somebody can step up for their offense. I saw Tyler Johnson getting involved in that game late, so we'll see how it goes, man. But interesting week 1, nonetheless, my man. Let's get into this. Well, no, we actually have one more segment, right? Before
we have our little stock up and stock down segment to get into real quick. And this one's pretty easy to figure out, guys. Which teams week to week, and it can be an overreaction because this is all we have to judge it on. Which teams do you have stock up for, and which teams do you have stock down on so far throughout the season? I have a list here of a couple teams that won or lost last week, Scotty, and we'll run through them real quick. We've talked about these guys at length. We just went through our top 10. Some got knocked out, so those will be pretty obvious. The Cowboys, for me, are a stock up team. The Steelers are a stock up team. Then it comes to stock down. The Browns, stock way down. Bengals, stock in the shitter. Falcons, stock down. Jets, stock down. The Bears I threw on here as well as a team that I went stock down. I picked the Chicago Bears in my preseason predictions to make the playoffs this year. They did get a win. That is the most important thing, and that helps towards my prediction. But I did not like what I saw at all at home against the Tennessee Titans team. So I had the Bears kind of in flux, but I do for the time being have them in a stock down situation right now, man.
Yeah, it's actually it's interesting, man. So I would say I got 7 teams written down here. The Jets, I would say the stock didn't really change for me. I wouldn't say up or down for the Jets personally, just because it is the 49ers, man. They are a juggernaut in the NFL this season. Obviously, the defending NFC champions. The Cleveland Browns stock down. Obviously, I'm out on the Browns, man. I'm out on them being a playoff team. I'm out on them, being an elite team in the NFL this year. I think their defense will get better. I do not see Deshaun Watson getting better. Now, maybe Nick Chubb coming back off of the injury reserve or the PUP list, whatever list he's on right now, maybe that helps a little bit, but what are you going to do? Come out and have Nick Chubb carry the ball 30 times coming off of a torn ACL or a torn knee? So, yeah, I'm out on the Browns. The Cowboys stock up. I agree. I'm kind of in on the Cowboys with what I saw. When you have a defense like that can get after the quarterback, it's going to keep you in a lot of games, especially if Dak can just not turn the ball over. The Bengals stock down. Did not like, and love is a stronger word, but I did not even like anything I saw from this Bengals team. Their defense, even to give up what they gave up against the Patriots in the ground game is concerning. Their offensive line is a major concern. Their wide receiver duo that's supposed to be the best part of their team, major concern. Joe Burrow's wrist hand, major concern. I am out on the Bengals right now. The Bears, man, this was an interesting one for me because I do feel you. There's the other side of things where their defense did perform well.
Yeah.
Got a touchdown.
Nate plays on special teams as well.
They won despite Caleb when we thought maybe Caleb would be leading this like exciting offense. They were able to win in a different way than what we thought. So there's the other side where, well, if Caleb can just be better, like just be good or average, maybe they can be a team that competes in this division. But I don't know. I kind of ended up – I'd be lying if I said my expectations didn't lower for them. That's the way I would put it. But, yeah, so I guess that equals stock down for the Chicago Bears ultimately there. But I did think about it. The Falcons – it's Kirk Cousins, man. I have to be stocked down here because he's coming off an injury already. That was the concern, but then he looked really bad coming off the injury behind that offensive line, even with Bijan in the backfield getting as many touches as he got. Did not look good. And then I'll finish out here with the Steelers, man. Stock up. The defense looked amazing. They shut down what we thought would be one of the more prolific offenses coming into this season. They should have been able to put up some points, hold them to 10 points, get 3 turnovers, and come away with the W here. We'll see what they do with the quarterback, but things are looking up for the Steelers nonetheless, man.
Yeah, and I think to your point about the one team before this as well, if I had to throw another stock-up team in the conversation, it would be Baker and the Buccaneers. It was a game that we thought they'd win. They were at home. So it's no surprise there, but in the fashion they won, how that offense looked, they definitely are a stock up kind of team.
There's a confidence that's coming from that offense. Yeah, there's a confidence there.
I agree, man. Let's take a peep at this Bills-Dolphins game that's going to kick off in about 10 minutes, actually. I forgot about that. It's an 8:15 start, not an 8:20 start, as I'm used to. You and I think, are on the same side with this one as our picks on the Twitter page. We'll say if you guys want to check them out, if you want to tail, make sure to drop a comment, like the tweet, share it, retweet it, whatever you got to do. We are on the Buffalo Bills tonight to win this ball game outright. We do like their spread plus 2.5. If you want all to 3 or 3.5, we are on board with that. And to sprinkle an anytime touchdown score in this one, we also laid Dalton Kincaid anytime tutty at plus 195 on DraftKings. But this is a big spot for the Bills. It's a big spot for the Dolphins as well. Both teams are 1-0 coming into a division battle, short week. Both had to come from behind at home last week. The Dolphins obviously trailed, and that game was in danger as Travis Etienne almost threw another 6 on the board late in that one. And then it gets punched out. And from that point on, everything turns around. Tyreek Hill goes down the sideline for 80 yards, and the Dolphins come back and beat the Jags. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals were kind of doing whatever they wanted in the first quarter offensively. The Bills and Josh Allen come from behind and beat them. But this is a big spot for the Bills for me, man, because I'm thinking about everything you said when it comes to Josh Allen before the season started and on our prediction shows and the MVPs and can they compete and still win this division or be the 5th wild card spot. And I think this is a game tonight where I find a little bit more out about who Josh Allen is in this league and who – you can say the same for Tua, but I'm more focused on Josh Allen since we're betting the Bills here. And what this offense can look like post-Stephon Diggs. Now, we're aiming for a Dalton Kincaid touchdown. We know that James Cook can be a factor out of the backfield. I like Keon Coleman as the rookie, but who can he get the ball to down the field?
Right.
Who's that guy? Khalil Shakir? Right? Yeah, Mac Hollins. Who is Josh Allen going to pick up key first downs with through the air tonight, find in the end zone through the air tonight? Is he going to have to use his legs and play hero ball? Can he protect the ball on a short week on the road in a divisional matchup, which is always interesting when it comes to him? Yeah. This is a big, big test for Josh Allen and the Bills. And I'm backing them in this spot. However, it is just as big a test for Tua and the Dolphins, right? You lose this game, you are the home team in this divisional matchup. You guys did not look great through the first 2.5 quarters of last week's ball game. You were 5 yards away from losing that one against Trevor Lawrence. Can Tua win a big game, man? Can Tua beat Josh Allen head to head? I think he's like 1-6 or 1-5 against the Bills in his last 6 or 7 games. So it's a big night for them. No Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane dealing with an injury. I don't know if they obviously I'm sure he's either a go or not. We would have learned that by now. But we'll see. We'll see. I like the Bills tonight.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Obviously, we're riding the Bills train tonight. Josh Allen, it is interesting, and you say it's a big game for Josh Allen. I totally agree. I think this Dolphins defense was a defense that played pretty well against the Jags in Week 1. They were able to hold the Jags to 17 points in a game where the Dolphins offense wasn't rolling as well as we usually see it do. Getting into the high 20s, upper 30s. So to see them come out and kind of grind out a W against the Jags, that was a little different in a sense from the style we're used to seeing from them. And you come into this game, man. Obviously, Josh Allen, I picked him to be MVP for me this year, and it's exactly what we saw in that game against the Cardinals. 4 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 2 through the air, spreading the ball around. Keon Coleman over 50 yards, Shakur over 50 yards receiving, getting Dalton Kincaid in the mix. James Cook, he's another guy that I really like in their offense as well. He's a guy that can do it. He can do it all. He's a versatile back, can get it done in the air and on the ground. This Buffalo Bills team, man, why I think it could be a bigger game for Tua and why it could be a bigger deal for the Miami Dolphins at home here is because the Buffalo Bills have beaten them in 13 of their past 15 meetings in Miami. Also, it says here the Bills haven't had much trouble against their rivals in recent years. Buffalo has averaged 31.7 points against Miami since Coach Sean McDermott's first at home in 2017. So they're averaging 31 points per game against the Miami Dolphins since Sean McDermott became head coach. Now, there are a few twists in this game from the past, right? You have Jordan Poyer on the other side of things. He's playing for the Miami Dolphins. You have Micah Hyde, who is no longer part of that Bills secondary. Tre'Davious White's gone. So that's a revamped secondary. So maybe things look a little different against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle tonight. But I'm with you, man. I'm going with the more physical team. I think when things get down to it, when you have to grind out possessions, you have to, put together long drives. If that's what it comes to tonight, I trust the Bills offense to do that. I trust Josh Allen to make the crucial plays on third down to get the Bills offense in successful positions. And I think we see the Bills just spread the ball out again. Yeah. And it's going to be the Josh Allen show, but he's going to include everybody. And I think that is the difference this year with a guy like Stephon Diggs leaving. Now, time will tell whether that's a good or a bad thing. But right now, Week 1, it looked great. Week 2, I expect it to look similar, man. But Josh Allen and James Cook, I'm keeping my eye on them on the ground tonight. I do think they're going to be very highly.
I agree. I think it's where you're going to attack Miami, and then I think defensively for the Bills tonight too, man. No Mostert. A-Chain's back banged up. Can you limit them on the ground? And if so, Tua can move a tiny bit. Tua is not mobile. Tua really mobile. Tua is not getting out of the pocket and picking up key first downs with his legs for the most part. So with that said, and that pass rush for the Buffalo Bills get home with their front 4 or 5 and put pressure on Tua and put him in some bad situations. Can you keep the Dolphins in 3rd and long situations and not allow them to get into those 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and medium spots that they like to get to? And can you limit the big plays? Tyreek, Jalen, you're always expecting it. And maybe one comes out, but can you limit them? Can you keep away from a big moment, from a 3rd and 13 that you get them into? And the next thing you know, Jalen Waddle streaking across the middle for 45 yards. Can you limit those kind of plays? That's how you're going to win a game. Can Josh Allen extend with his legs, pick up key third downs with his legs, keep that Dolphins defense on the field, and finish drives with 6? This is an explosive Miami offense. We know the yardage they can put up. We know they can score in a hurry. Can you finish drives with touchdowns and not field goals and match what Miami's going to try to do to you? and you know, kind of control the time of possession. But we got the Bills tonight. If you want to lay the money line, I mean, listen, 2.5 is not much of a line. So at this point, you're picking the Bills to win, and if for some reason you just have a little bit of coverage at the end, if they were winning by 1 or 2 and the Dolphins kick a field goal with no time left, that's really the only scenario where you're probably covering with the points. Okay. But we like the Bills to win tonight. We like the Bills to cover, obviously, if they're going to win, and sprinkle in a Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown at just about plus 200, man. If you guys aren't already, again, 60 of you in now, most of you watching on Twitter, follow us on Twitter if you haven't already. If someone shared this and you're seeing it, our picks are posted. Go check them out. Like, comment. If you're tailing, let us know what you're up to. And as always, make sure to head on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. It helps us out. It's the best spot for you guys to get your comments and questions pulled up and to be interactive on our shows. And yeah, that'll do it for this Thursday night show. We'll be back on the DSM Media Philadelphia YouTube channel tomorrow morning, talking Eagles, talking Phillies, and talking everything Philly sports with you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. And let's go win some money, Scotty.
Peace, everybody. Go Bills. Bills.